So recently, you might have heard me discussing the idea of Samus not instantly losing all her abilities the moment that she runs into Silex with his two Metroids and his two pirate friends. You know, it's likely going to happen there if it's going to happen at all, right? But I was like, man, what if Retro decides to go about it different this time? And I read a lot of y'all comments on that podcast. I read a lot of your thoughts, and I agree with a lot of them. A whole lot of them. Someone posted a comment mentioning, you know, how every game they pretty much came up with a cool concept for Samus to lose her abilities, and I understand it, and I love all of them. You know, as a Metroid fan, of course, I love all of them, everything they did, except other M, where it was like, yeah, don't use that, lady, even though you're bleeding out, lady, you're bleeding out, and it's like, but still, nah, don't use it yet. Why? Reasons. It's like, nah, the whole place could blow. Like, you know, it was crazy. But anyway, yeah. Other than that, like the Ing taking your abilities and then you having to go and chase them in order to get your abilities back, that was awesome. And then someone also pointed out, oh, in Prime 3, you didn't really lose all your abilities for the most part. You know, it just stacked on top like you were mentioning in the video. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm currently playing through Prime 3, as you can see. But I was thinking, what if, like, there is no moment where, you know, you get defeated, so now you're weaker and you know, or like PD suit Samus. Like, what if it's just like Samus badass from the start? I was thinking, you know, something along those lines. But then I'm like, that's probably more in the Doom Slayer's realm. You know what I'm saying? Like, so her being, you know, fully powered and then just getting stronger. I think, you know what it is? I think after you see Samus go full blown Metroid and Dread and just be super OP, you just go, yeah, like, why do we got to start at zero? But then I thought to myself, you know what? Most of y'all agreed, yeah, Samus should lose abilities. And I'm like, well, then if we're going to do it, let's start at zero. Why not just have us lose it all? I'm like, make Silas go beyond and have him like beat it down so bad and like cut her suit open with his giant, you know, green laser swords that he has on his arm. I know it shoots and all that, but still, it could be used as a sword too. Chop her down, like rip off the damn suit physically and like tear her out of that thing. And I don't know, something in the nick of time just saves her before he finishes her off. You know what I'm saying? Let's make it some Federation soldiers because, well, Silex hates Samus and he hates the Federation. So put the two things he hates right in front of his face and have him so close to taking out one of them. That'd be pretty epic, right? So if you start at zero, like she's hurt, but she's like, yeah, I gotta go back. He has my tech or whatever the case may be, you know, or it's left behind, and now she has to go and, you know, sneak through this place where they maybe, you know, escape from and have to get the suit back. Either way, the way to go about it doesn't really matter to me. I think it just would be cool to have Samus start at zero. If you're gonna lose abilities, just let her lose all of them. And I think if you think about it in the way of bringing in new players, you'll start out like most other shooting games. Like, oh, you're a person, regular, not some super crazy super soldier that can turn into little balls and run around. And yeah, none of that. You just got your weapon, which I guess if you want to make it like Smash a stun, I mean, I'm not gonna make it a stun. Let's go full blown laser, you know, weapon that destroys enemies. You know what I'm saying? So imagine you having that, even having like, you know, her whip ability from Smash. That could be cool. So you have like a melee attack. So you can already get the feel of the gameplay of when you do get the suit, and you got, you know, your grapple beam and you're using it the same way you would your whip in Zero Suit style. I think it'll be a good way for people to get used to the controls. It's all right, yeah, she don't got a double jump. She just has a regular jump, you know? And it's the way she moves. She can crawl. She can, oh yes. Oh yes. Metroid can crawl. Yeah, she can crawl, but she can't turn into a mothball. Throw a little bit of stealthiness. And it's like, damn, you're gonna start the game with a stealth mission? I'm not saying full blown stealth, like you could do it stealth if you want, or you could, you know, Samus Aran it up. Because, I mean, she's still Samus for crying out loud. So I would still like her to be able to perform and not be, oh, you know, one hit, she's done. Like, I mean, if you want to do that, cool, because it makes the pirates stronger. But still, I would still want it to be a way where you could dodge hits if you do decide to go into battle. You know what I'm saying? Use your whip in order to, I don't know, hit space pirates' weapons out their hand, and you get close and you get close. And I was thinking, damn, what game right now could I point to that feels like Zero Suit Samus game? And I said, you know what? I don't even got to go that far back. I don't got to bring up Mirror's Edge and stuff like that. I just did. But I could just show a game that was showed off at the Xbox Game Showcase, a game that started, well, where Samus resides on Nintendo. Perfect Dark, the new one. Seeing how Joy in the Dark moves around in that game, I'm like, that would kind of be Zero Suit Samus. Especially like melee moves and then like, stunning enemies and stuff like that. You saw Perfect Dark do a lot of that stuff. So I was like, yeah, you could just have her do that. And then when you get your suit, that gameplay is still mixed into the core of a Prime game. And it's funny because I talk about Prime a lot, and I always talk about the actual action of it all. And I understand that Metroid is first and foremost a action adventure game, and those two things are for the most part equal. And if you ever were to argue one being more important than the other, you would probably go with the adventure aspect. Because anytime Metroid ever leaned too much into the action aspect, it's always been kind of ridiculed. Other M was very action heavy, very linear, and so was Hunters, and people had issues. Even you could bring up Federation Force, where it's like, oh, it's more action, it's just a FPA, not a FPA, it's a FPS, not a FPA. Like, that always has been an issue. And that's the thing, like, Metroid is a series that, me as a fan, I have no, like, nostalgia for anything. Like, I've played these games so much throughout my life, and I've seen the struggle to get each and every Metroid game that I don't really care about holding on to what came before. Like, do I want everything to still be there? Absolutely. I wouldn't want it to go fully one way. But to build on it more, to make a game that feels like a FPA, but plays like Titanfall 2, Doom Eternal, that to me is the perfect successor to the Prime series. Because this is not supposed to be, it's been almost 20 years. To me, like, this is not supposed to be Prime 1, 2, and 3 again. It's supposed to be what those were, but new. This is a new trilogy. Why make the same trilogy again? Your next trilogy should just be a bit different. And again, I know we haven't seen the difference yet. We're going to see the beyond of it all. But that's really genuinely how I feel. Like, this game should do things that make us go, what? Whoa, they did that? Like, they have to surprise us. By surprising us, they can find a whole new audience, and that whole new audience could take Metroid to newer heights. And while the old people, who were fans, and I say literally the old people, like the people who were there at the beginning, when the game started, and who wanted to be crying about, oh, Super Metroid, or cry about, but remember Dread, like, that's us right now. Yo, remember, like, yeah, that's all well and good. Those games are right there. Hopefully still easily accessible to us in the future, in future expansion, past upgrades, Nintendo Online services and stuff. Like, legitimately, though, or remakes and re-releases, those happen too. But, yeah, like, I'm good with new people coming in and the series, meaning not something completely different, but something a bit different than what it meant before. Like, and now there's a new huge bunch of people playing the series, and that justifies us not having to wait 20 years in between entries, 10 years in between entries, and we'll get them more often. That would be the ideal situation to happen. I look at it, funny enough, you got to go to the other, suited up character, the other suited up icon, Master Chief, right? Halo, I'm of the camp. Look, I've played all the Halo games. I've played all the online modes to it, right? And I am of the belief that Halo drastically needs to cut the cord from the past, from the dudes who was playing Halo 2 and 3 and felt like, yeah, we want that back, that nostalgia back. Yeah, that's all well, nice and good. There's people who sit there and go, yeah, screw Call of Duty. I want, Perfect Dark and GoldenEye and Time Splitter style first-person shooters. And I understand that, because I'm like, a part of me wants that too. I would still want it a bit upgraded, but I get the sentiment for that style of corridory, more tight-knit shooter experience. Like, I understand that. But in no way am I going to act like what's out now is somehow less than those, because that's bullshit. That's absolutely bullshit. And it's like, to go to even more at home, or a more at home example would be Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Those games are played by completely new people. People who've never experienced Zelda games before. They ain't never touch an ocarina. They ain't never play a note in order to travel from one area to another one. They never became a damn, a Goron and rolled around in Majora's Mask. They never snuck into the goddamn Forsaken Fortress, starting at zero at the beginning of that game. Wind Waker did it, so why can't Metroid do it, yo? But yeah, like, these games were never experienced by these people. But are they not real Zelda fans? Did they not show up for Tears of the Kingdom after experiencing Breath of the Wild? They did. Both those games right there outsold every other game in the series 2-3 times over. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild. And it's literally Breath of the Wild. But no, it's new players. And then you have, the old guard there who say, oh yeah, this is not, my Zelda. Oh, I don't like this because of the dungeons. And yeah, I wish they went back to the linear style Zelda. And I understand that, to the classic 3D Zeldas, what I call 3D Zeldas, because that's what we call them forever. You had your top-down Zelda, which were mainline entries, like Echoes of Wisdom that's coming out. And then you had your 3D Zeldas, which is everything from Ocarina to Skyward Sword, and now you got open air. There's a lot of people who feel like open air ain't real Zelda, and they rub their nose up at it and all that. And there'll be Metroid fans who'll do that too. It's just inevitable. And you got Halo fans who have something like the Master Chief Collection that has all of their favorite Halos in there, the online all intertwined, where you can just go search game and have the games you want checked on, the modes you want checked on within each game, and just have those experiences. So you'll go from Halo 2 to 3 to 4 to and it's like, that's crazy, and they still complain about Halo Infinite. Like, you have that right there, alive and well, thriving, all of the goodness of the old shit that you want, and you still getting mad at the new thing for trying new things and bringing in new players. And it's weird, but people do that all the time. And Final Fantasy is no different. Final Fantasy fans feel like, yeah, they move so far away from, the turn-based or even like the top-down, the original games and stuff like that. Like, go back to that or whatever the case may be. You'll get that even with current Final Fantasy. And maybe it's justified there because it's not like Final Fantasy is selling way better. I mean, the online is thriving from what I understand. The what is that, 14? But the recent releases haven't been doing that well, but I think that's because they've been strapped down to one piece of hardware instead of being everywhere. But I think with the next Nintendo console coming around, yeah, I think you'll see those hit Series X, and you'll see that it hit the Nintendo hardware too, all the exclusive to PlayStation currently Final Fantasy games. But yeah, like, people are always gonna have issues with change, and Zero Suit isn't really much of a change. It literally happened in Zero Mission, spoilers, at the end. This will be bringing it to the beginning and using it also as an entry point for the gameplay to, like, smooth players in, new players into what it all means, So imagine having areas where you can crawl through, and then eventually now you're mothballing through them. You see the evolution of that one little feature right there. And I'm not saying let's spend as much time as we did, on what is it, Outset Island with Link, and then going to Forsaken Fortress and doing all of that, then getting your sword finally. And like, no, I'm not saying do all of that, because I feel like that's a lot. I say do something shorter. Obviously, it wouldn't be the intro. The intro, they'll let you feel the power of Samus. Then you'll get up to Silex and you'll be like, damn, what just happened? I thought this woman was a beast. She is. She just ran into somebody who's literally strapped up with, like, her worst enemies, you know what I mean? All her ops were there, the Metroid, the Space Pirates, and then Silex, who's been literally chasing her for a while. So, yeah, it was inevitable to happen, So the player will understand that. Then I can't wait to get back to that dude. And when you do, you probably won't be fully powered. There'll probably be multiple fights, but when you finally do it, all your abilities, you're gonna feel like a goddess. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you always feel like. And Dread was no joke with that. They literally let you feel the power of Samus and all that Metroid goodness. It was incredible. And I'm just like, we got to top that in a way. Like the ending of Prime 4 should be, bananas too. I'm not saying, Samus got to turn into a Metroid. Nah, like they did that in Tread. And that's the future. But I'm saying they got to do something way cooler than the previous 3 games. And the previous 3 games did cool stuff, like so much cool stuff. Like it was just, that game, it was like they knew, like, yeah, we're going to make something special. And that's why it hurt me so much that it wasn't the best-selling entry in the series. And it was on the Wii, which at the time was Nintendo's best-selling console ever. It was like, damn, all those people, and none of them showed up for Prime 3 like that. And it was fresh, year 1 launch window. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, people was just like, yeah, listen, man, we playing Wii Sports, that's it, nothing else. And then it didn't help that, 2 months later, Mario Galaxy came out. It was wild. And here I am, like, yeah, drop the 3D Mario and drop Metroid the same day. Is like, you really want people to just go get Mario? They'd be like, what? Metroid, huh? What's that? Like, but you never know. If they have multiplayer in there, if they have, social features in the single player, that, like, if they have new things in there that get new players excited about it and more reviews, because you got to understand, when Breath of the Wild reviews came out, I knew it was different. When all those developers got together and did like a emergency state of the industry podcast, and it was like, wasn't it Ken Levine, right, the BioShock director? Like, there was a lot of people there, a lot of names, and they just sat around, and and at the time, I'm over here like, going up against. This is when I really cared to go up against people who were, shitting on Nintendo, whatever, and defending everything. Like, yeah. And I was just like, listen, people was trying to take away from Breath of the Wild. I'm like, listen, you're naming like 5, 6 different iconic IPs. Oh, Metal Gear 5. Oh, The Witcher, Grand Theft Auto. And I'm like, you naming mad games in order to try to take away from Breath of the Wild because, oh, this game did it, that game did this game did that, Just Cause did that. And it's like, oh, Assassin's Creed did this. And it's like, yo, the fact that you're bringing up all those games, it should just show you how iconic Breath of the Wild actually was, and still is, so when they all came together and then they just were saying the same thing I was saying, I'm like, see, I'm not crazy, because they make video games. They have no reason to do this other than they're so hyped from what they just experienced, from what they just played. They knew that was like this paradigm shift moment, and it was, especially for Zelda and Nintendo and video games, because look, the Switch is now the best-selling video game hardware of all time. So yeah, like it literally was that kind of moment. And this game went to one E3, by itself, and one E3 by itself. And it wasn't even up for debate. You couldn't debate. If you wanted to even be a hater and be, oh yeah, like, you couldn't, because if I'm not mistaken, after that, Sony never went to E3 again, and ever since then been having just a lot of mediocre shows. And then E3 pretty much ended, but we had footage of stampedes. It was like, bro, you can't debate it. Dudes was literally running past Xbox, running past PlayStation. You had the PlayStation dude with his hands on his head, like, damn. And it's like, shit was crazy. And bringing up Metroid next to that, it's a whole different ballgame. It's not even fair, because Breath of the Wild was Nintendo's most expensive video game. That's literally the most expensive game they've ever made. So it isn't really fair to be like, oh yeah, Metroid Prime, because we don't know the budget of Metroid Prime, and I doubt it's anywhere near, Breath of the Wild. But what I will say this, talent-wise, they've picked up talent from all of our favorite games in the world. Because we got, well, for me, Retro, that's it right there. But then for others, you got people from Naughty Dog, you got people from Sony Santa Monica, and like all these different IPs. Like, oh yeah, worked on God of War, worked on, just name it, name the IP, and they've worked on it, and now they're working on a Metroid game. Like, that's super cool, and I can't wait to see what they do, especially on the next hardware, with the sequel, but also this one. I want to see the, Switch successor version, that Super Nintendo Switch version. Oh man, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Like, I feel like Zero Suit Samus would be a cool idea. If we gonna lose our abilities, why not just go full blown Zero Suit? And I guess I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Ask y'all this question: if this game releases on the current Switch, like we know it will, but also the successor, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna double dip Are you gonna just get one Switch or Super Nintendo Switch? What you gonna do? For me personally, I already stated I had this game pre-ordered the whole generation on Nintendo Switch. I canceled that pre-order because I'm intending to pre-order it for the next Nintendo console because I believe that it'll be there day one, and I mean day one of its release or the hardware release. I just feel it'll be there. So yeah, that's just me, you know. But yeah, what are you gonna do? Where you gonna play this at? I think a lot of us I know is like, yeah, we want to play it on the new sexy, the new hardware. But still, you never know. There might be some of y'all who are like, yeah, I'm not gonna immediately upgrade, so I'll play it on the Switch. Yeah, let me know in the comments, and you know that'll let me know who got to the end of the video actually. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks for everybody who tuned in. Until the next one, peace.